Hello my dear friends, once again I welcome you back to my YouTube channel Modern English with Kanudayal. Friends, if you are new to my YouTube channel, please like, share and subscribe my YouTube channel to get more videos. In this video we are going to learn more about the first lesson of 10th standard of English medium, that is Where the Mind is Without Fear by Rabindranath Tagore. Friends, before going to start the actual lesson, let's have a look on the activity warming up. The first activity which is given here is pair up with your partner and match the terms with their given meanings. There are two columns given here, column A and column B. In column A, the concepts are given, and in column B, the meaning of that concepts are given. So we as a learner should supposed to match the meanings of concepts. Let's see. The first concept is given in column A, humanism. Now what is humanism? Humanism means a rationalistic outlook towards humans rather than a divine or supernatural one. Right, that is what the first meaning of the first concept is. The second concept is patriotism. Now what is patriotism? Patriotism means a quality of being patriotic or vigorous support for one's country. The third concept is internationalism. Now what is internationalism? It means state or process of being international, right? The fourth one is liberalism. Now what is liberalism? It means holding liberal views. That is what liberalism is all about. The fifth one is environmentalism. It means concern about an action aimed at protecting the environment. That is what the first activity is all about. Then let's have a look on the poems in English are of different types. Now there are different sorts of poems in English literature which are given here, like sonnet, limerick, ballad, elegy, free verse, epic, lyric, humorous and idyll. So all these are different types of poems. The third one activity is given here is, I would like to read the activity. Taking the help of dictionary, internet, gaze and write the type of poem against its description. Now a sort of descriptions are given here and against which we are supposed to identify the types of poem, and we are supposed to write the actual and the proper name of the poem. So let's start with the first narration description. A long story poem, often mythical. Now what is it? A poem which is long and having a myths in it, that is known as epic. The next, a short story poem with a message. Right, now it is a kind of short story with a full message, with a moral message. So what is it? It's a ballad. The third one is a poem of 14 lines. What it is? It is a sonnet, right? A sonnet is always a 14-line poem. The next, a song-like poem. What is it? A song-like poem. It is a lyric. Next one, a poem with no uniformity of rhyme, rhythm, etc. Now the poem which does not have rhyme, rhythm, tone, intonation. What is it? It's free verse. A poem set in a picturesque rustic background. Now a poem which has set or which is set in rustic and picturesque background. What it is? It is idyll. A sad poem lamenting death of a loved one. As we all know that a poem which is sad and which is written in the memory of some beloved persons or the person who is passed away, and the poem is written in the memory of that person, that poem is known as what? Elegy. So I think a sad poem which is lamenting the death of our loved one. So we are going to learn that elegy in this same year. I think in the last unit of this textbook we are going to learn there is a poem called "O Captain, My Captain" by Walt Whitman. It is a kind of elegy, right? So moving on to the next activity, a 5-line short funny poem with a rhyme scheme AABBA. What it is? It is a limerick. Last but not the least, a poem written just to create humor, right? The poem which is written out of humor, just to make a humor or just to create humor, which is known as humorous poem, right? So this is what the poems and the description is all about. I think you would have understood, students. Let's start with the actual poem, where the mind is without fear, and the same poem is written by one of the greatest Indian poet and dramatist and writer, Rabindranath Tagore. His lifespan is 1861 to 1941. He was the author of Gitanjali and its profoundly sensitive, fresh and beautiful verse. He became the first non-European to win the Nobel Prize in Literature in the year 1913. This poem is one of his vastly read and discussed poems all across the world. It was originally composed in Bengali and later on he himself translated it into English language. This poem is from his Nobel Prize winning anthology, that is Gitanjali. Anthology means a kind of collection of poems, a book which is a collection of poems. Tagore, who lived during the time when India was ruled by the Britishers, in this poem, besides political freedom from British, Tagore also appeals to God for social, educational and economic freedom for the people of India. So friends, by reading the introduction of the poet and what he has written in the poem, so we came to know about the poem is that the poem is renowned from India, and he has been the first Indian, non-European, who won the Nobel Prize in Literature in the year 1913, right? And this poem is one of the poem from his Nobel Prize winning anthology, that is Gitanjali, right? He has written many poems in the anthology that is called Gitanjali, and this particular poem has taken from the same anthology. And this poem was written when India was ruled by Britishers, and how the people of India and how people were ruled brutally, how they were neglected and how they were totally opposed the freedom by the Britishers. And that is what the poet has attempted to describe the situations when India was under the rule of British government. Let's have a look on the actual introduction. Tagore lived during the time when India was ruled by the Britishers, right? And the poet, he himself lived during the Britishers. They were ruling India. And this poem, which consists of the political freedom from Britishers, right? And in this poem, it is a kind of prayer, right? Which is written in the form of prayer, that the poet is praying to the God that we as a human being should want, or we should have a freedom of what? Freedom of thought, political freedom, educational freedom, social freedom, economical freedom. So we as a human being should have all sorts of freedom, right? Because we as a human being, we were totally and entirely neglected these rights, these freedoms, and this poet is just urging, just praying to the God just to have all these rights. So let's have a look on the actual poem. The poet Rabindranath Tagore wishes his country to get true freedom, and he describes what this haven of freedom is. Let's start with the actual poem. Where the mind is without fear and the head is held high, where knowledge is free, where the world has not been broken up into fragments by narrow domestic walls. Now, the first line talks about the people of India, that they should not supposed to have any kind of fear, right? They should supposed to live their life very happily, enthusiastically, but it is not possible for them to live happy and pleasurous life. Why? Because the people of India, they are ruled by the Britishers. Now that particular poem talks about the situation, the circumstance where the India was under the control of British government, British people, and the same poem is written when India was ruled by Britishers. So the first line talks about the people of India, means how they were living life. They were living their life very miserably, that they were under control, that they were not given any sort of respect And that's why the poet is urging, requesting to the Almighty, the God, where the mind is without fear and the head is held high, that we as a human being should supposed to live our life without fear, right? And our head should be held high with dignity, that we should have respect, we should be treated with respect by the other people. That is what the poet is willing. Where knowledge is free, right? Where knowledge should be free, because the people that who were living under the pressure of British controls, that they were not given any sort of knowledge, and only the handful people, right, the people who were there on those era, only those people elite or bourgeois class people were given the education, and the people who were underprivileged, the people who belongs to the low category, so they were not given any sort of freedom at all, and they were totally entirely neglected the knowledge, the education, and that sort of rights. Where knowledge is free, where the world has not been broken up into fragments by narrow domestic walls, and we as a country should not supposed to be divided. Now the word is important, narrow domestic walls. Now what does that mean? Narrow domestic walls means a division which is made on the basis of religion, caste, class, ethnicity, colors in the society and between countries of the world. Now that two lines talks about the discrimination which is made in the country and all across the world, right? The people who were discriminated on the basis of caste, creed, religion, ethnicity. So that should not supposed to take place. Why? Because if the discrimination is taking place, then we will not have a kind of unity, and it is not possible for us to live our life happily, and it is impossible for us to live our life under the one roof. So how we can live if we are discriminated on the basis of caste, creed, color, ethnicity, height, and all those things? So not possible. So poet is urging, where the world has not been broken up into fragments, that world should not supposed to be fragmented into small pieces. Right now it is not possible for us to live if our country is fragmented into a small pieces. How it is possible if we are discriminated on the basis of caste and creeds, religion, ethnicity? So not possible for us to live if our country is fragmented, if our country has broken into a pieces. So not possible for us to live in such life. So the poet is urging, requesting that we should not supposed to live in such country where we are discriminated, where words come out from the depth of truth. Said we as a people of country, that we should supposed to speak the sincerity of truth, or we should supposed to speak the truth sincerely from the depth of our hearts, that we should not supposed to deceive any other people from our own country or across the world, if at all we want to live our happy life. That is what the poet is suggesting and asking. Where words comes out from the depth of truth, where tireless striving stretches its arms towards perfection. Now the two words are important. Tireless striving and tireless striving stretches its arms. What does that mean? Tireless striving means continuous efforts and struggles, and stretches its arms means aims at achieving a goal. Now the people of the same country of India means what they are doing, they are continuously doing hard work and taking efforts to achieve their aim. Now what aim they are achieving and what goal they have set and for what they are working hard, for what they are struggling, that is what the poet is telling here. That where a tireless striving stretches its arm towards perfection, where the clear stream of reason has not lost its way. That we should supposed to do hard work for what? To get the true freedom, to get freedom of thoughts, economic freedom, educational freedom, everything. That we as a people of the same country should supposed to live our life very happily, where the clear stream of reason has not lost its way into the dreary desert sand of dead habit. Again the poet is just comparing between the logical thinking, reasoning, right, with clear stream. That people should not supposed to lose, that they should not be overshadowed by the superstitions, right? But the word is important. Dead habit. What is dead habit? Old traditional rituals and customs that are harmful for people, that they should not supposed to be guided by the old habits, that is old traditions, right? And again the poet says that where the mind is lead forward by thee, and the people, that they should supposed to be guided by the Almighty himself, God himself, right? That the countrymen should be led by rational thinking and not by any blind beliefs that are harmful for the people, for the countrymen, right? And that is what they should be led forward by the rational thinking. Where the mind is led forward by thee into ever widening thought and action, into that haven of freedom, my father, let my country awake. Right, the last three lines are very much essential and important, where the poet wants that the minds of his countrymen to be led forward by the Almighty, so that they broaden their outlook, thoughts and actions, right? Their thoughts and actions should be broadened, that they should not supposed to behave like a childish people, like right, insane people, that they should supposed to have their action and thought in a generous way, that they should supposed to behave with a proper manner and with a courtesy. The last line is very important. Into that haven of freedom, my father, let my country awake. And the last line, poet addresses to the God as his father, right? And he asks him to awaken his country into the haven of freedom, where there is a total freedom, entire freedom and complete freedom, wherein the people are not discriminated on the basis of caste, creed, ethnicity, religion, color, scheme, that sort of things, where there should be a complete freedom and entire freedom of educational freedom, social freedom, economical freedom, political freedom. Every freedom would be there, where my country should be and my countrymen should be awakened, that they should have all sorts of freedom. And that is what the poet is talking about, the situation and circumstance under the rule of British people, right? How the people of India were ruled and how they were neglected the rights and freedoms. And that is what the poet is, a kind of prayer he is making towards the Almighty, towards the God, just to awaken their country into the freedom, total freedom. That is what the poem is all about. I hope students you would have understood the poem, and whatever the hard words are there or the novel and difficult words are there, I had put at the end of this video. Dear friends, if you like my poem, please like, share and don't forget to subscribe my YouTube channel to get more videos. Thank you so much.